this road, and now I'm home. Shalom, shalom. In the love of God, I am home. I am home. I am home. I have traveled far along this road, and now I'm home. Shalom, shalom. In the love of God, I am home.
Well, welcome home to Unity of Port Townsend, spirituality with open hearts and open minds. So we're glad you're all gathered here. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, all the people that have been a mother for somebody else, that love of the mother, and for all the children of mothers. Now, did I leave anybody out? Okay. It is a glorious day. It's a glorious day outside, obviously, but it's a glorious day to celebrate this thing we call motherhood. And we'll soon this morning really talking about that in depth. Before I start, though, Jim put out a little altar on the fellowship table out there with a little sheet cake, and in it is a rosette, if you will, and there's words all the way around this thing. And before it gets carved up, I want to tell you what it says, because I think it'll help us for this day. So it's based on a book about the Lord's Prayer, and the book itself is sitting there. If you want to take a look at it, you're certainly welcome to. But the words that are on this thing, so I got to cut my gain down, will you? There we go. The words are faith, surrender, service, abundance, forgiveness, and overcoming. And as I thought about those words, those are the words of Jesus, by the way, embodied in the Lord's Prayer. But when I thought about those words, I also thought about the love of mothers, and of motherhood, the faith in their kids' ability, surrendering to what they thought they needed to do because somebody else needed something, the service that they provide to nurture this little human being, the abundance that a mother has to be, from dishwasher to all the things to hold a family together. Forgiveness, that's a big one, especially if you had a teenager in your life. There's forgiveness, and then overcoming, and doing all of that with a smile and a hug. Also on the table out there, Jim had put together this Mother's Day card, and it Mother's Prayers touches God's heart. I think it's the other way around, quite frankly. I think God's heart touches mothers, and it kind of flows that way. But regardless, maybe it's the hope that she has for her children's happiness, the faith that she has for the bigger plan for their lives, or the incredible way she shares the greatest love a child will ever know. But a mother's prayers make a beautiful difference in a child's life. That is so true. And so today, we're going to celebrate that greatest love. When I come up here in a minute to talk about the daily word, now I've got a way to get to that particular aspect of the divine. And it is all about the divine. The divine is amorphous. Neither he, she, they, it. The divine is bigger than any and all labels that we could ever put on it. So the aspects of the divine, we see these 12 powers up here. The aspects of the divine is the image within which we were created. So while I'm on the male side of things, I have just as much female energy and nurturing power as I do on the masculine side of protection and fight-flight kind of thing. I contain both of that, and vice versa, male or female. We have all of those powers embedded in us, and the question is for us always is how do we use those? And how do we use those to raise up not only ourselves, but anybody and everybody we meet? So with that, let's light up the Christ candle, a candle. We do. Light, light of God, give light to creation, enlighten our hearts, and remain with your world. Come, light, light of God, give light to creation, enlighten our hearts, and remain with your word. And it is that light of God that shines in through and as each one of us. We're going to be joined here today up here on the podium with two wonderful people to pull this service together. First is Reverend Joanna Gabriel. She's from Whidbey Island. And she was it 11 years you said you spoke here? 11 years since she's been here. We were over in the Masonic Hall at the time. And so in the basement of the hall, we were a church in a box. And every Sunday we take it out of the box, and Sunday afternoon we put it back in the box. Things have certainly changed over those last 11 years. And then we got Rhonda Hall. She's going to lead us through the meditation and more. I guess this is the best way to put it. So with that, why don't we stand and we'll do our opening song and get the ball rolling.
I am one with the heart of the mother. I am one with the heart of love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. I am one with the heart of the mother. I am one with the heart of love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. I am one with the heart of the mother. I am one with the heart of love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. I am one with the heart of the mother. I am one with the heart of love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. With God.
Please be seated. So it all started out in the book of Genesis. And if you look at the creation story in Genesis, the first chapter, God starts out, he made light. God made light and said it was good. Then he made the sky. You go through this whole litany of the creation of the earth, the plants, the waters, the animals, the four-leggeds, the swimmers, the crawlers, the green people, the rocks. And then in chapter 26, He said, it is written as this: God said, let us make man in our image. Nowhere's up until this point that God just said. And then God said, let us make man in our image. And I thought, wow, who's us? I mean, it's talking plural, or it's talking plural, not he. It's talking plural. And I believe it's all of those aspects I talked about a little bit earlier. All the aspects of the divine and creating the image, creating man in its image, had to be inclusive of all that. And in that same passage, right in it, said, God created man in his image, male and female, he created them. That's the first time the pronoun he shows up in the Bible. So the author of this chapter, whoever that might have been, my guess it was a male. Just saying. And it follows throughout the rest of the text of the Bible that the divine oftentimes talked in a masculine form. And yet it is the female side of things, the nurturing side of things, that God really shows up in our lives. You think about it, when stuff gets really heavy and when the stuff hits the fan, it's about that part of me that comes forward and first of all becomes vulnerable enough to accept that I can't do it. Becomes vulnerable enough to ask for help. And becomes vulnerable enough and soft enough to allow that help to come through. That's not always been the case in my life, but as I look at this whole thing, I go like, yeah, I get it. I can see how the he, the him, gets planted into our literature, and we think it's just this strong, I mean, the image of God to the Old Testament is pretty much this big judgmental form that's going like, yay, nay, lightning bolt, no lightning bolt. It's kind of like Zeus. And yet, Jesus shows up and goes, oh, you guys got this all wrong. I mean, that's not the Heavenly Father, the Heavenly Mother. That's not the creator of the universe. That's not how that thing operates. And put the whole thing on its head. That's for another day. We're talking about mothers. So when I go through, I do my Google search as I do. Okay, what does mothers love? Something like that. And I start looking at these qualities. And then I start looking at what Jesus was talking about. And you go like, well, it's not just mothers. Mothers are selfless. They got to sacrifice. They sacrifice their own wants and needs for that of their children. They work hard. Being a mother is a full-time job. And I've watched it. And it's a full-time job. But their job is really to equip their children with the knowledge, skills, and abilities to make a difference, to be able to handle their lives as they get launched out into the world. Mothers guide us. They're the ones who encourage our dreams, help pick up the pieces when we fall, and believe, even those moments when you don't believe in yourself. Does that not sound like God? Does that not sound like the divine's plan for our lives? So I picked up a couple sayings about moms. Motherhood is a fairy tale in reverse. You start with a beautiful gown, and you end up cleaning up everybody else's mess. Nothing is lost that a mom can't find. And a mom's recipe for coffee, for iced coffee, is 1, have kids, 2, make the coffee, 3, forget you made the coffee and drink it cold. And then I'm now in a multi-generational house. I have my granddaughter and my daughter and her husband and various floors in our house. And this one really hit home. The quote, "Mom, what's it like to have the greatest daughter in the world?" And Mom says, "I don't know. Ask your grandma." So here's a statement about Mom. Mom, your love is a guiding light that has led me every dark moment. And I would change that just to say, Spirit, divine, your love is the guiding light that has led me through every dark moment. And I believe that is the case for each one of us. Mother's Blessing, Sunday the 12th. I honor and bless the world's mothers. Today I offer a blessing of gratitude for the loving, nurturing spirit of mothers. I bless my mother and those who have shared my mother's love by supporting me throughout my life. I think of the many ways they have been present for me over the years with unconditional acceptance and love. I vision all mothers, grandmothers, and caregivers throughout the world surrounded by love and light. For those in my life, I take time to express my appreciation in words and gifts and times together. To mothers-to-be, I prayerfully affirm health and ever-deepening joy. To mothers no longer in the world, I hold them in loving prayer and hold thoughts of joy and gratitude. I bless their souls' ongoing journey, knowing the bonds of love keep us by their memories alive. And from Proverbs, her children rise up and call her happy. I honor and bless the world's children. I am blessed by mothers and the world's children. Anyway, how's that? And I'm going to invite Rhonda up to lead us into meditation and more. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like you to turn to the person closest to you and say, I stand for peace. Now, say to that person, you stand for peace. And now please say, we all stand for peace. Now, some of you know a woman who has imprinted herself on our community and is a presence here, whether or not she brings her body. Her name is Sharon Meddy. Sharon now lives in Ashland, and I'm grateful to know her. And I met her through our community here, even though I had read this book long, long ago. So if you aren't familiar with this book, it's a small but powerful book called The Great Silent Grandmother Gathering. And let me read you what this little tiny book is about. The Great Silent Grandmother Gathering. On a buffety, blustery, early summer day, when the news was bad and the sky turned yellow, a strange thing happened in a town where I live. So begins the moving and enchanted story of two grandmothers who, by standing in the park all day long, not speaking, not looking at squirrels, not munching on coconut candy, Soon have everyone in town talking. What are they doing? A young girl informs the stumped observers shyly. They're saying they're saving the world. These simple acts and words have an enormous impact on the town and soon on the town, in the towns all over the world. At a time when the news is bad and many people feel powerless, this inspiring story tells of two women who do something so simple that at first no one takes them seriously, but soon when they are joining other women and then many other women and many people, their simple act of caring has the power to transform the world. Together, these women discover great things are possible, even and especially peace. And so, as we have done in this community for, oh gosh, I can't remember how many years, probably when we started here, and maybe even at the Masonic, I think. Yeah, it was, because Sharon came and joined us at the Masonic. We read this statement together. So just before we enter into meditation, I'll speak it. I want you to hear it in your heart. And then I'll also embed it into our meditation. So if you would, please stand for this part, if it's easy enough for you to do. All right, listen and really feel these words. Because as a result of this tiny little book that Sharon created, it created a movement around the world. So at 1 o'clock, and we're close enough to 1, there's no such thing as time and space, we are joining around the world with others who are saying this statement and embodying this statement. Because every time we say it, it always saddens me that there's another reason that we have to say this and take it seriously. So today, we are standing for the world's children and grandchildren, and for the 7 generations beyond them. We dream of a world where all of our children have safe drinking water, clean air to breathe, and enough food to eat. A world where they have access to basic education to develop their minds and health care to nurture their growing bodies. A world where they have a warm, safe, and loving place to call home. A world where they don't live in the fear of violence. In their home, in their neighborhood, in their school, or in their world. This is the world of which we dream. This is the cause for which we stand. So part of manifesting, and I call it wa-manifesting in this case, the part of manifesting is seeing it as if it already is, rather than we are lacking peace in this moment. So in your hearts, as you sit down now and prepare for meditation, see this as already done.
Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, open-hearted, tried and true, with thanksgiving
So may the love that joins us all here today call in all of the angels, all of the ancestors, and all of the mothers and grandmothers who have prepared us to be exactly who we are, whether we judge them to be good mothers or bad mothers. May this circle accept and let known that they are welcome here. All of those who had a difficult relationship with their mothers and who are willing to look for the gift of opposites, that through their uncomfortable relationship, they have learned that the opposite is to forgive and to love as best they can. We call all of the mothers and children who are separated from one another today. We let them know that they are also welcome in this moment here with us, sharing in our love. We hold here all of those who are suffering around the world as the result of violence. We call in all of our children, all of our children's children, to be present with us as we embody this statement that says peace is here and available by choice in every moment. So as I read this statement slowly, I will let you reflect and feel in your body as if it is already done, that peace is here and peace is possible. We are standing for the world's children and grandchildren, and for 7 generations beyond them. We dream of a world where all of our children, the children of the world, the children in our own country, the children in other countries who are suffering right now, that they have safe drinking water, clean air to breathe, and enough food to eat. That they not have to leave their home, that they not have to be afraid, that they not have to hear bombs, that they not have to see the ravages of death as a result. We stand for a world where they have access to a basic education to fulfill their dreams, to develop their minds, their hearts, so that they may know peace and not experience PTSD from the mistakes that are made around them. That they have health care to nurture their growing bodies, and that they embody and know that they within themselves have the power to heal. We stand for a world where they have a warm, safe, and loving place to call home, regardless of where they are on this globe, even in our own community. We stand for a world where they don't live in fear of violence. In their home, in their neighborhood, in their school, or in their world. As a mother, as a grandmother, as a loving human being, we will no longer tolerate this. We know that peace is there. That peace is our responsibility in small and simple ways, as well as big and active ways. We call now into the circle, and either aloud or in the voice of your own heart, you call in the people that you love, that you pray for this day, those who may need special attention, and know that by speaking it, it is so. My daughters, my grandchildren, gratitude for Sharon. All the mothers. This is the world of which we dream. And this is the cause for which we stand. This is the world of which we dream. And this is the cause for which we stand. I stand for peace. You stand for peace. We all assume the responsibility that we all stand for peace. And so it is.
Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, open-hearted, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I am a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, open-hearted, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I am a living sanctuary for you.
As we feel that energy, that place where we've created this vessel of peace, the next piece of music, let this be also a reminder of our innate abilities to create peace, both inside and outside.
I would just like to say before we begin, Ave Maria is symbolic for the divine feminine, that loving, compassionate, growing, birthing essence that is in each one of us, regardless of our gender. And there's no mistake that we call this earth that supports and sustains us, Mother Earth. So we want to honor mothers, Mary, the mother of Jesus, mothers, but that divine essence in each of us. I think I'd like a little more volume on the harp from what we had. Thank you.
Ave Maria.
Ave Maria. Ave Maria.
was beautiful, wasn't it? I'm feeling full. Good morning, everyone. I'm Joanna Gabriel. I'm from across the pond. And it was a beautiful morning to come across. And yes, the last time I was with you was 11 years ago. It was a snowy December Sunday. I like this day better. Happy Mother's Day. We're talking about mothers and mothering and the qualities of mothering. And it's important to call to mind these qualities because they're about life, life itself, how life becomes, how life evolves, how life expands, how life continues. It's important to be reminded of the qualities of mothering. And it's interesting that we're also honoring through the grandmother's silent standing for peace in a troubled world. And one could look at that and go, there's some kind of an imbalance there, isn't there? We're talking about mothering and compassion and loving and caring and supporting and life creating and life sustaining. And at the same time, we're talking about needing to stand for peace in a world that's very troubled. There's something wrong with that picture, isn't there? And that's the opportunity we have together as conscious beings to come together and go, what's going on? How can it be this way? When we talk about the power of Mother Earth, how can it be that we can mess up Mother Earth the way we have? There's something that we're not getting. And so when I think about coming together and getting to share with you today, I wanted to talk about a mother's gift, a very important gift that I received from my mother. It's been 34 years ago now. And I know as I stand here and share this with you, that each one of you could come up to this beautiful podium and tell a story that would make a difference to all of us. Isn't it true? Because every single one of us is a walking miracle. Every one of us has walked a life that no one else has. And I dare say no one else could. And so, given that, knowing that, I'm honored to get to share this. And when I was here before, I shared a little piece of it. I'm going to share it with you today because my mother, one of the most troubled, angry, resentful, depressed human beings you would ever come upon. She has a very important message, even 34 years after she left this life. My mother was born and raised in the Canal Zone. And she got married, ran away and got married early on and had a child, and then the marriage didn't work, and so she got divorced, and so she had this little boy, and this was during the war, and my father was stationed in the Navy in the Canal Zone, and they met there and got married, and he wanted to bring her to the States, and they decided to do that, and the only condition was he would bring her to the state is that she didn't bring her son. He didn't want her son. Now, for most of us, that would be a deal breaker, don't you think? But my mother decided to do it. So she gave her son to her sister, and she came to the States with my dad. And they had a very troubled life, and she was very resentful. She was so angry and felt so guilty. And of course, the person that she was angriest with was who?
this one right here. But she didn't look at it that way. She looked at it that it was the world, and it was my dad, and it was everything that went on. And so she was a smart woman and a personable woman, but she was a very sad woman. And so my father was an alcoholic. He was a violent alcoholic, and it was a troubled life that they had. And they brought me into the world, and it was a troubled life that I had as a result of coming into this family. And so anyway, I grew up and left home when I could, and I grew up in Ohio, and when I moved out here, I couldn't be there in this dysfunction anymore and moved out here. And so I started working for the University of Washington in Seattle, and I worked at Harborview for a period of time in the operating room. As you know, Harborview, the Level 1 Trauma Center, and I worked right in the center of the action. How I got there, it's still a mystery to me, but I did, and I worked in the operating room for 5 years. And during that time, I became a hospice volunteer. And between working in the operating room and being a hospice volunteer, I was learning a lot about life and the comings and goings of life. And so my mother, who was approaching 70 years old, she got sick with, she had what the doctor said was a fluid cyst in her abdomen. And so they said she needed to come into the hospital and have a DNC done, and that would take care of everything. So she went in and had a DNC done, and when she came out of the procedure, she woke up and she had ovarian cancer and a colostomy. And so she was terrified and furious, and at that time, this was in 1988, they didn't have a lot yet that they were doing with ovarian cancer. They're doing a lot with it now, but at that time, they didn't have a lot. And so but they did have some chemo, some really hard chemo, and she went through that, and she went into remission, and she was in remission for a couple of years, and then the cancer came back. And my mother, the way she survived through all of this was she would always say to anyone who would listen that when she won the lottery, she was going to leave my dad and she was going to go to California and live with her sister and start her life all over again. When she won the lottery. Now, none of you have ever said anything like that, I'm sure. But she was going to go to win the lottery and leave Dad. And at that point, her life would begin again and everything would be okay. Well, when they told her that the cancer was back, and now it was not only in her ovaries, it was in her liver and pretty much everywhere else. And so they opened her up, saw that, closed her up, and said, "You've got about 2 months." She was furious. Now, her plan for her new life was never going to happen. And she was so angry and so furious that she stopped talking to anyone. She wouldn't talk to her family. She wouldn't talk to anyone. And so I was flying back and forth from Seattle to Ohio for where she was. And I flew back for this and was there in the hospital with her. And she was lying in the hospital, and I was trying to comfort her, and I had tried to comfort her over the course of the time for her being sick, and I was going to Unity Church, and I was learning about healing, and I was sending her healing tapes and healing books and things she could do to heal herself, and she never looked at any of it. The only thing she did was she read her daily word every day. That she did. But the rest of it, no. And so I went back with her, and I was in her room, and she was lying there, and she wasn't saying anything to anybody. And I decided that I was going to make her say something. So I said, "You know, Mom, I am really glad that you have been my mother. I'm really, really glad. Thank you. I'm really glad." She didn't say anything. So I climbed into the bed with her. And I said, Mom, I'm really glad I've been your daughter. It's really been important to me to be your daughter. I'm really glad. Thank you. She didn't say anything. And so she went home. She wanted to go home. She didn't want to stay in the hospital. And when she found out that her new life was not going to happen, they said it was about 2 months. And it took about 10 days, actually, because she wasn't going to stick around any longer. And her various family members and her son, her first son, my half-brother, who grew up and had his own family, and they came to see her when she was dying, and she didn't say anything to them. And I don't know if you've ever seen someone who has advanced ovarian cancer, but their tummy becomes very distended. They look like they're about 7 or 8 months pregnant. And she was lying in the bed, and she was lying there, and her tummy's out to here, and you could actually feel the rage in her. When you walked close to her in the room, you could feel the rage, because now it was too late for her to do anything to change her life. And she was enraged, but she said nothing. And so she's lying there, and her sister, who she was going to go live with when she won the lottery, came when she heard that my mother was dying. And so the last night of her life, I sat up with her next to my aunt, and my mother told stories about my mother when she was a girl that I'd never heard of before, about how she was this really adventurous girl who loved to swim and hike, and she was very personable, and people loved her, and she loved everyone. And I'm thinking to myself, who is this person? I never knew this person. Oh my goodness. So I was glad I really had that experience, because it was a whole side that I'd never heard of before. So the next morning, the hospice nurse came to bathe her, and she said to me, your mother's really far along in the process. And very often when a person, if I turn them to wash their back, that may well be their last breath. So I want you to know that. So said, okay. So my mother's lying there, and my sister's here, my father's there, and another member of the family. I guess it was my aunt. And I'm at my mother's head. And so the hospice nurse turned her so that her head came over and was right here in my arm. And so I kissed her, and I whispered to her, and I said, Mom, it's okay. You can go now. You've done a good job. You can let go. It's okay. None of it matters anymore. And so I closed my eyes, and all of a sudden I could see her standing there in her nightgown. I could see her. And I look off in the distance, and I see her son, who had died when he was 40 years old. He had a cerebral hemorrhage and died when he was 40. Nearly killed her then. But anyway, I see him walking towards her, and I said, look, Mom, there's Ernie. And there was a man with him, and I assumed it was her father, who had died when she was 14, so I had never met him. And I said, look, Mom, there's your dad. And then there was our English bulldog, Ralph, who had died, and he was there with them. And so I said, look, there's Ralph. And so here comes Ernie and her dad and Ralph walking towards her, and I'm seeing this. I can see it as plainly as I'm seeing you. And so I'm holding her, and I'm seeing this, and I said, Mom, look, they're here for you. And so her son Ernie reached out his hand for her. And she turned around and looked at me, and I said, it's okay, Mom. You can go. You're done here. It's all right. You can go. And so when she reached out her hand to him, all of a sudden I saw this light just go boom, like that, just clear across, just the room was just filled with this light, and I swear it went through the entire universe. And I saw her, and I felt her lifting out of this body just ravaged by anger and resentment and guilt and cancer. And she just lifted out of this body, and I could feel it. And the body stayed here with all of its pain and suffering, and she just lifted, and she was free, and she was free of it. And I realized that although my mother couldn't be there for me as my mom in dying, what she gifted me with was her transition, and I had a near-death experience. That was the gift that she gave me in that moment, and I could see, I felt it, I could see that we are so much more as we lift out of the body. It's light, we're light, and we don't take that stuff with us. We don't take the things that laden us, burden us, that hold us down, that make us think that we're less than, that we're not good enough, that we need to feel guilty. We don't take it. It doesn't count. It's not there. And she lifted, and she was light. And it was the greatest gift she could have ever given me, and she's giving you a gift right now, 34 years later, dear ones, on Mother's Day, reminding you that you don't need to carry any of it. The mistakes, the guilt, the stuff that we drag around with us, that we think we need to continue to be identified with by, we don't. It's not real. It's not who we truly are. Who we truly are is light, is love, is peace. And I believe that as we claim that, each one of us, that is what we create. That is what we draw to us. And because we're all one, we can peace in our world. And it doesn't have to take forever. The tipping point is very short, 2 to 5%. You've read that, you know that. And so start today. Let this Mother's Day be the day that you are reminded that you are worthy right now, that you are light right now, that where you've walked, what you've had to do, whether you had an angelic mother or a very difficult mother, doesn't matter. Because if you had an angelic mother who lifted you up and made you feel wonderful and blessed you and all of that, and maybe you had one that did that sometimes and sometimes not. Or if you had one that didn't do that, what it asked of you to survive that is how you got to be who you are today. Right? So we can be grateful for all of it. For all the mothers, for all the mothering, for all the lack of mothering, whatever. Let this Mother's Day be the new beginning for you. Let my mother, Dottie, bless you this morning with her message. Don't wait. You don't have to wait for don't have to wait to win the lottery for your new life to begin. Let it begin today, right now, with exactly what you have. Because, dear ones, what you have is enough. Questions or comments about that? It is my honor and my blessing to get to be with you and be reminded of this gift. Much love to you all.
So, Joanna, I do have a question. I think I have the answer. So, the message I get is that when we heal a relationship, when we heal a conflict, those things that chip away at our lightness, if we lay those aside while we're still physical in this body, then we get to have a better experience of being physical in this body. And if we don't do that, our experience comes when we leave our body.
Well, the truth of us was always the truth of us, and it's still true as we leave our bodies. And she left a miserable, painful existence that didn't have to be that way, but she carried that with her whole life. And many of us do that, and maybe we have our own little piece of what she has, or we may have as much as she had. But the truth of us is still the truth of us, and I saw that, felt it, literally, all that stuff that she believed about herself and about life that was laying her down, that was lightening her down. She just lifted right out. It wasn't part of her. It wasn't who she truly was. Never was. And that's the message. Yes, we have our stuff. We all do. It's how we learn. It's how we grow. But get it and let it go. Don't carry it. Don't drag it with us like we so often do.
And that, I believe, is our lifetime's chore. And what Jesus talked about all the way through. Forgive, let go, and start here and there. Okay, I think I got it. Thank you. So, should we stand or sit on this song? Stand. Okay.
Oh, Mother God, thank you for this day, for the love that you wash over me, for this joy in my heart I will share with the world. Oh, Mother God, blessed be. Oh, Mother God, blessed be. Oh, Mother God, thank you for this day, for the love that you wash over me, for this joy in my heart I will share with the world. Oh, Mother God, blessed be. Oh, Mother God, blessed be. Oh, Mother God, thank you for this day, for the love that you wash over me, for this joy in my heart I will share with the world. Oh, Mother God, blessed be. Oh, Mother God, blessed be.
Please be seated. So as we change gears a bit, this is the time in our service where we receive the offering, so I invite you to take out your offering, and we will bless it as we do here each week. And for me, when I think about blessing the offering, I also think about all of the things that have come before me and go through me as part of this blessing. And it's, at the end it says, I am grateful. Well, I'm grateful just to show up on every morning, quite frankly. And I'm grateful for having a Aurora Borealis. Was that spectacular?
Oh.
I'm grateful for the plants that are growing and even the weeds. And I'm grateful for having a place where I can hear a message like this on Mother's Day. And a message certainly that touched my heart, but that the gift of that message is just such a good lesson for all of us to just realize that, we can change. We can change, and even if we don't change, Even if it's going to be this crappy mess and that's the way it's going to be, there's literally light at the end of the tunnel. So with that, let's bless our offering. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful indeed.
And we have a new offering song
Oh,
for the month, and the words are on your paper. I hope you'll join in.
Just a second. Do we have ushers today? Oh, we do. Okay. Thank you. I just want to double check. Go for it.
You can't be God-given, no matter how you try. For just as sure as you are living, the Lord is deep inside. God gives us help, God keeps us strong. He leads us where we would go wrong. God gives us everything that we need, our every hunger feeds. You can be God-given, no matter how you try. And just as sure as you are living, the Lord is deep inside. God gives us help, God keeps us strong, God leads us where we would go wrong. God gives us everything that we need, our every hunger feeds.
I like that one. That's good. I'm grateful to have you two up here with me. Thank you for doing this. Me too. Sweet, sweet Spirit, Mother, Father God, within whom we live, move, and have our being. That place within us that provides all of the faculties that we contain to make a difference, to choose a different way, to look at things a little bit differently, to heal the broken, to fix something that we may have screwed up. It is a blessing and with gratitude that we receive these gifts. And we send them forward into this world with the intention that each person may find that place within them, that place of solidarity, of the oneness of all with creation, the place where peace resides. We all want the same thing. We just have weird ways of getting there sometimes. So let's just let these gifts be an expression of getting there to the path of peace, of understanding, of cooperation, and healing. For surely that's what Jesus talked about in heaven on earth, right here, right now. And as Rhonda said, we just have to visualize, manifest it. And let's do that in our lifetime. And so it is. Amen. Thank you, ladies. Take these away. You can take them. You can take them. Okay. All right. So, we do have announcements. Just in case you thought you were going to get away without announcements on Mother's Day, no, not going to let that happen. First of all, I want to thank Helma for holding the high watch. She's available for personal positive prayer following service, should you have something heavy on your heart. Helma's one to meet with back in the prayer chapel. The prayer box in the back of the room, we receive your prayer requests. We hold them for a week here at the church, and then we send them on to Silent Unity for 30 days additional prayer. And all of that is to heal those broken parts. So you can do it with your voice, your writing, or just hold it in your heart. We pray for you. Let's see here. We have a plethora of things going on every single day except Wednesday. So Monday, the Ananda meditation group is at 4 o'clock. Tuesday, Rhonda leads her grief group at 1 p.m. On Thursday, you can have a sound bath. So Thursday's bathing day. Friday, we got kirtan, 6 to 8. Saturday, Pam and Lane fly back into the States. They don't get back here until later. But so next Sunday, I will still be up here doing this thing. Perry Spring, who is he's spoken here before. He's a Jewish lay person. I don't know, there's got to be a name for it, I'm sure. But anyway, he's like a rabbi wannabe kind of guy. I don't think he'd say that. I think he'd probably have a different way of doing it. But anyway, he's going to be here Sunday, so good thing I know him. So everything's on the website, so take advantage of that. And I think that's it for the announcements. Should we form a circle? Yeah, okay. Do you have the look at this? This is okay?
Yes,
Good.
we're ready.
I gotta grab this thing.
Thank you. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as Creator, united all are we. Yes, we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every breath I take, yes, this is my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
And we say, Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Well, thank you guys. I managed to pretty much screw it all up.